How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the San Jose Sharks franchise mode, episode number 30. Another big milestone headed into the 2030 offseason as Stanley Cup champions. In the last one, we had a crazy postseason, taking down the Blackhawks in 5, the Canucks in 7, crazy series, the Avalanche in 5, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 to capture our second Stanley Cup in franchise history and our second in the last 4 years. It was an incredible season from start to finish as we went 63-15-4 to set a new NHL record for the best season in regular season history. Dylan Larkin, who we acquired an expiring contract from the Red Wings, ended up scoring 107 points, tying Leon Draisaitl for the NHL lead, but didn't win the Art Ross because he had less goals than Draisaitl. But Larkin still won the Hart and the Ted Lindsay. Connor Bedard scored 54 goals. Quinn Hughes got his third consecutive Norris Trophy. Tomas Hertl at the age of 36 had a career high. We had the Vezina and Jennings go to Torsten Hornqvist as well. The Jennings shared by half. The first Vezina of Torsten Hornqvist's young career at the age of 24, winning that. In the postseason, it was more of the same. Chaz Lucius actually won the Conn Smythe, but it was Larkin who led the team in points with 26 points in 23 games. Bedard 15 goals, 25 points. Lucius 24 points. Tomas Hertl point per game. Ranta Hughes, even Cole Lind, who grew to an 88 overall, was incredible. And Torsten Hornqvist did his job, going 16-5-2 with 3 shutouts on our way to our second Stanley Cup in franchise history. Now, headed into the 2030 offseason, of course, aside from just 2 Stanley Cups in the last 4 years, we've made it to the Western Conference Final or further in, I believe, 5 of the last 6 seasons. So we have a reputation to maintain, absolutely. And we will have some money to play with, but we're not sure how we're going to distribute that. As Dylan Larkin, it would be great to bring him back, but would he prefer to go to free agency? Now at the age of 33, he can get his big 3 or 4 by $12 million deal. He's up to a 90 overall. He just had career highs, Hart Trophy, Stanley Cup, Ted Lindsay, crazy stuff the one year that he finally leaves Detroit and comes over here. Tomas Hertl, would it be great to bring back the captain after career highs? Absolutely. But he wants $7 million with top 9 potential. He'll continue to regress. Then, of course, Kanias Evan Pickering, our shutdown third deep pairing of the last half decade. They want over $3 million each to be 81 overalls in that third pair. It's going to be tough to rationalize. And then at the same time, you got Torsten Hornqvist, who just got paid $3.5 last year. Now he wants $10 million for 1 year and $17.65 million for 8 years. So it's going to be a difficult offseason in terms of, not of money just yet, because we have it for this year, but in terms of trying to figure out how we're going to make it all work in the grand scheme of things over the next few years, both in terms of people's age and people's potential, but also in terms of the contracts that will be coming down the pipeline. Especially when I think about Connor Bedard in 2 or 3 years, I think about the expiring entry-level deals very soon for Ranta, for Carcillo. It's going to get very tight very fast. So headed into this draft and off season, we have some major questions because although it would be great to just say, hey, let's run it back, we have a lot of, I don't know how I should put it, it's like good problems, right? Like if I were to say, let's run back the same roster, that would mean, scrolling down here, Carcillo, who's now an 84 overall and just scored 25 goals last season, will now be stuck playing on the third line once again. Cole Lind, who's now an 88 overall, would be stuck on the third line once again. Mikola, who's up to an 82, would be stuck on the fourth line once again. There's a lot of things that we just can't quite do. We have to let our players breathe, we have to allow them to grow, and we have to look towards the future while still respecting the present, right? It's a difficult mix of a team that we're trying to build here. While we have the money, we don't quite have just the positions in the roster, in the lineup, the 12 forwards and the 6D and the 2 goalies to make it happen. So, as always, before we get into all of the big decisions, we turn first to the assistant general managers. So there are a lot of good thoughts in the YouTube comments, as well as a lot of discussions back and forths over on the Discord server. I'll just highlight a couple of comments and then give my concluding thoughts before we move into the off season, because even right now, sitting here with my quote finalized plan in mind, lots of things could change when we enter this draft. Teams want to trade certain picks, certain prospects are on the board. We have a lot of trade value now. There are a lot of things that could change. So there's like plan A, plan B, plan C. So we'll start it off with Aaron's comment, who says, congrats on Cup number 2. The Conn Smythe has to go to Bedard. Although Lucius had more points in the final, he was our leader from game 1 of the first round. Now back to work. I would be open to giving Larkin 2 years at max 10.5 and Captain Thomas at 1 year at around 6 to 7 million, but no more. Both are already dropping in potential at top 6 and top 9 respectively. After their incredible seasons capped off with a cup, both deserve a chance to return. This would free up cap for when you have to extend Bedard in 3 years. As sad as it would be to see them walk, I think we need to play hardball with both third-line D-men and our fourth liner who scored 30-plus points, Semenov. Maybe their ask comes down, or if they don't budge, let them walk and see if you can get them in free agency. If not, we have Lees, or Lees, I haven't figured out what we're going to call him, who's a 77 overall in our system, the defenseman, if he grows, and Ricky Brain, plus maybe a veteran pickup can man the third line. For Hornquist, I think you can qualify him and wait for his ask to come down. He was good in the playoffs, not great, and he caused a lot of premature gray hairs with the assistant GMs, mine included. If after some time he doesn't want to be reasonable, we have a very capable replacement in Habsheed. Maybe you sign him for 1 year at his last ask and then trade him later on. I hope it doesn't come to that, but with EA, you never know. The draft, some thoughts here that I'll just skim over as I think we have a good plan ready to go. I think we have a good goalie pipeline, but we'll definitely target the right player with the highest potentials now that we have our new scouting system in place. Check out the new scouting tutorial, by the way, if you want to get 200 plus prospects fully uncovered every time. You have done it again, Data. This was a roller coaster of a season capped off with the ultimate prize. Well done, and I kind of wish you were in charge of the real life Sharks because so far I've not been impressed with Mike Greer. Aaron, buddy, I'll see you up in the booth one of these days. Thank you for that comment. So yes, ideally it would be great to bring back Larkin, Hurdle on these 85% type of deals where Larkin's taking 10-some million. But the thing is, I'm not opposed to Larkin coming back, but it's going to have to be that we pay him very well. After he put up those numbers, after he won those awards, after he led our team in points to win the Stanley Cup, he is going to want to get what he would get on the open market. I'm sure he'd be very happy to stay with us, but he wants to get paid appropriately. Next comment coming from Q-Whip. My apologies if I'm not saying that quite right. Congrats on the second Stanley Cup win. Definitely keep Hurdle for next season. He's been a key part of the team, especially with his career high season. It wouldn't make sense to get rid of the captain on a Stanley Cup winning team. Hurdle deserves at least one more season with the Sharks. So here's the thing that we saw in a lot of the comments, and thank you for leaving that one, Q-Whip. A lot of the comments were saying things like, he's the captain, we can't let him go, we got to bring him back, retire as a Shark, etc., etc. Now, here's the thing we got to keep in mind, and I'm not opposed to bringing him back, but we got to keep this in mind. Thomas Hurdle was on a bit of an albatross of a contract, $8.14 million as like an 86 overall second line guy. It could have gone either way from the beginning. He had his modified no trade clause at one point. We thought maybe we could trade him. He ended up sticking around. He became our captain. He had the last few years have been increasingly better and better and better. 74, 73, 84, last 3 seasons were the best of his career. So I'd love to keep him, but if we were to let him walk, it would not be getting rid of him. It would be that we played out his contract. We didn't ask him to leave. We didn't try to move him. We made him the captain. We got him the cup. He hit all kinds of highs in his career. Now we just cannot afford him. Would it be great to bring him back? Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. But we also need to keep in mind that if it came down to Hurdle, who is regressing at the age of 36, and someone else who needed the money, who's going to be young in our top 6, etc., well, we just got to make the better decision organizationally. But not closing the door on Thomas Hurdle. Just to say, if we did end up moving on from him this offseason, I think it would be on the most amicable of terms. I'll close it out by looking at Cheating Heel's thoughts. A novel, as always. I very much appreciate all the time that goes into this comment, Cheating Heel. I'll skim through it a little bit, as we have, yes, a lot of decisions to make. As far as re-signings go, I believe Hornquist has earned his spot, according to Cheating Heel. Let's try to sign him for 9 to 10 million if his demand comes down a little bit. We definitely can't give him 12 to 15 million. The jump in his demands is really messing up my original pitch/plan. Well, I wouldn't get too concerned with what they're asking for right now, as it will change after the draft in just a couple days. Habsheed would save us a bit of money now, but having a higher potential, we'd have to pay him more once he needs a contract and he's unproven. I'm not sure if there's a bit of mix-up there because Hornquist is the one with the high elite and Habsheet has the medium elite. Maybe it's to do with the ages or something, but still, the point remains that that's elite potential, young player, high overall, costly. He'll also make a great bargaining chip once we need to acquire a top young and cheap prospect in a couple years. Now, unfortunately, that's not usually the case, as goalies just don't have a lot of trade value. The high elite ones do. Medium elite, not as much as a medium elite forward or defense prospect, but again, the point remains that he could be used. I'd give Larkin a 2-year contract at about 10.5 to 11 million. That way, we're not locked in long term, and we'll have money to extend Bedard. Going for a 3rd year could mean paying him a lot while he's regressing. Unfortunately, if we want to keep Larkin, although that's true, we likely have to dip into that 3rd season to make it worth his while to stay. As opposed to giving him 2 years, 11 million, when he could be making, let's say, 3 or 4 years at 12 million with another team. We say, listen, stick with us. We'll give you your 12 million, let's say, per season, but it's for 3 years, and each of those 3 years you're getting a shot at the cup. Maybe that's something he's interested in. We'll see. Hurdle could come back for 1 year at around 6.5, just so we can get 1 more year of growth from our kids before shoving them in the top 6. Even if Hurdle comes back, maybe he's top 9 now, I don't know. But worst case, like Cheating Heel says, we move him to the 3rd line. He's still a good teacher for our young players. Some thoughts about William Eklund that were also echoed in the Discord server. The last couple seasons, he scored 60-some points, 50-some points, but the 2 years before that, he was point per game plus in the 70s, the 80s. So he scored, I think it's over 250 points the last 4 seasons, but the last 2 haven't been so hot. So Eklund as a trade piece has been suggested and thought of, but I'm not sure we're quite there yet. Former 1st round pick, former top 10 pick, currently on an 8-year extension. There'd likely be a no movement clause in there. I wouldn't say he's my first choice to move. Down to the bottom now, we still have a window of a couple of years before we get into a lot more cap trouble, and we'll have to dismantle this team. We'll see what happens. I really feel like Eklund should be the first piece out so we can keep the rest of the nucleus together. Just that the problem is, if we moved out Eklund now to keep this nucleus together, this nucleus is done within a couple years because of aging, Larkin and Hurdle most notably, while Eklund, although he had a couple of down years, has a track history of point per game plus and is much, much younger. So we'll see what happens there. Next year would be Hurdle's time to go, and maybe even Rodin too if we're in need of more money. Let's try to run it back again. Congrats again to GM Data on an exceptional season. Go Sharks. Thank you very much, my friend. As I mentioned, a lot more discussion in the Discord server. I'm not going to read the dozens of messages back and forth like a script. If you want to join the server, that's where you can join in on those conversations. Your voice can be added to the discussion as well. But now, headed into this draft, the 2030 off-season, I gotta say, with the comments taken into consideration and my own thoughts mixed in, I think my first choice to go is probably Cole Lind. Now, I say that because I took a look, and you'll see in a moment, I looked on the trade block just to check out what his value is. Cole Lind's value is incredible right now. He's one of the highest valued players on the team because of his 88 overall, plus his cap hit of only 3.35 million. Cole Lind on the right team would be a huge boost. I'm not saying we trade him for the first overall pick to a team that's rebuilding, but a team that could want him for maybe a first round pick and a prospect, that could definitely happen. An 88 overall with 2 Stanley Cup rings, 5-star shooting, 5-star physical, 4.5-star skating. Any team would love to have a Cole Lind in their lineup, especially if they're a team that needs good value on a cheap deal. That's us technically. We need good value on a cheap deal, but we know that we wouldn't be able to keep him after this next season, and we'd prefer to spend that money on maybe Larkin and or Hurdle. So Cole Lind is likely my first option to go, and if we can't find the right deal, we end up keeping him. Unfortunately, I think Tomas Hurdle is the second option to go. Although we love him, we want him to stay as a Shark and all of that, we don't necessarily owe it to him. We gave him what we owed him. We finished off his contract. He got 2 rings. He got the captaincy. I'd love to keep him, and I'm sure he'd love to stay, but I can't say I'm willing to restructure this whole team just to allow the fairy tale to continue. So we're going to head into the draft, and we're going to see what kind of market is out there for Cole Lind. So I don't think we need to think about anything else. The the demands will change. So let's go ahead and do it. We'll hop into the 2030 draft. Any top picks on the block here? Yes, Nashville, LA, picks 3 and 4 are both on the block, and then nothing else until pick number 17. I can't say anyone beyond the top 5 was super interesting. The first pick is going to be a crazy player. Daigneault had great numbers. Oh, he's a sniper. Oh, okay, maybe he's going to be a normal guy, but he's going to be a good top first pick. This guy, Frazee, second. Chubasov and Horak would be the guys that go 3 and 4, it looks like. Chubasov would be great. Yuri Chubasov, as he's a centerman. If we were to keep Bedard and Larkin for another couple seasons, Chubasov could be third-line center, not next year, but the year after, maybe replacing Cody Glass, who will move on soon enough. And then within 3 years, he's the top 6 instead of Larkin. I could see that for Chubasov, but I'm getting ahead of myself. That's if we were to get the 3rd overall pick. Horak, we have the wings pretty tight. Mikkola, Haikila, Carcillo, Ranta. I wouldn't say Horak would be as enticing, but similar to Patrick Kane, NHL ready, A+ shooting. And Chubasov, A+ shooting, similar to Sean Couturier, also NHL ready. Very tempting. And then there's our scouts have this guy at 4, Laurent Boileau, power forward, NHL ready, similar to Owen Nolan, A+ shooting, etc., etc. So all very tempting options. I don't want to waste too much time here. If I were to go to find trade, I would be curious, what would the other teams in the NHL be offering us? And here's Cole Lynn's value. Number 5 on the team. Top 5 player for trade value. Incredible. More than Chaz Lucius, who scored 116 points. It's just because of the contract. There's a lot of value that goes into his low cap hit. So, Cole Lind, what kind of offers could we get around the NHL? Nashville would give us their 34th overall pick and a high top 6 prospect. New York would give us picks 17 and 49. That's interesting. Nashville, pick 34 and this prospect. Is this prospect any good? Buyer, high top 6, 19 years of age, 72 overall. Former top 5 pick. He was a 4th overall pick in last year's draft. Only 18 points in 72 games. Yikes. 2 goals, 18 points in the AHL. And playing 11.5 minutes per night. Ooh, yikes. I don't like that. Playmaker with 82 passing. I don't like these attributes too much. But what if we, I'm just curious about the trade value. What if we were to actually say, let's look at that 3rd overall pick? Yeah. And, hang on here. They want to trade the 3rd. They want Cole Lind. And they have buyer status. So they must have won the draft lottery or something. One of the lotteries to move up to pick number 3 because they want to sell this pick for help right now. They are buyers. Who's in their forward core right now? Cole Lind automatically becomes a first liner with Tomasino, Kemmel, Forsberg. Forsberg's probably gone, but they have a lot of the rest of the core signed on. Velarde, Lundstrom. I wouldn't say they're the best team, but they're a team that wants to win before they lose out on more pieces, I guess, like Velarde getting older. And then I'm not sure if Saros is still the goalie. Daigneault goes 1st overall. Daniel Daigneault, félicitations. Sniper, 93 shooting accuracies, 84 overall, 2nd line forward out of the draft. Don't mind if I do. But now I'm thinking about Nashville here. Now I'm really thinking about this. I didn't think we'd be getting that much value. This guy Chubasov would be great for us, and if Nashville wants to be buyers, they want to make a run for it, they want someone who would automatically be a first liner, a shutdown pony killer, 5-star shooting, 5-star physical, on a cheap deal, and they have a lot of money to head into free agency, there's value there. Askarov, of course, their starting goaltender, 94 overall. He's signed on long term. I could see this making sense for the Predators. Plus, they want it. I'm not forcing it. They want it right now. So let me just see. Let me just throw it straight up. Cole Lind for the 3rd overall pick. What would they be thinking here? Isn't sufficient at all. Okay, understandable. What if I were to throw you? Let's say throw in a rookie skater. What kind of rookie skater could I throw in here? Who kind of has value? Maybe actually Vishnevsky here? Vishnevsky, low elite, 56 overall, 20 years of age, offensive defenseman, 7th round pick. A goal and 6 assists in Russia, I think. 6'3". Okay, we could add him to the deal. Vishnevsky and Lind for the 3rd overall pick. What do you say to this? Sweeten it just a touch. Who else could I throw in here? Pieces that we don't really need. Actually, maybe Streit? Eddie Streit? Is that his name, right? The former 3rd round pick? Yeah, power forward, 3.5-star shooting. Not the worst prospect. He's 25 now, but he's a 6'5", big, strong guy. Eddie Streit. Lind, Vishnevsky, and Eddie Strite. What do you say about this, Nashville? Just a bit low for us. This could definitely work, ladies and gentlemen. This could absolutely work. Okay, we threw in probably enough prospects, unless we have someone else unsigned we could add. Because these are guys all on expiring deals, right? That's probably it. Can I throw in a pick for you? You want a late pick? You want these late picks? Yeah. Could I give you pick number 202? So here we go. Cole Lind, who we got as a trade deadline pickup for relatively cheap, I believe, from the Seattle Kraken. He stays with us for he gets traded to us, gets 14 points in 21 games, wins the Stanley Cup the next season with 43 points in 82 games. So 1 to 4 full seasons, 4.5 years with us, coming off of a 45-point season where he was getting 14.55 of ice time. Give him first-line minutes. He's an 88 overall. He's our penalty killer extraordinaire. Look at this ROI, return on investment. Nashville, what do you say? Trade accepted, let's go! I'm happy to accept this proposal on behalf of the Predators, and we consider it a done deal. Cole Lind, thank you for your service here in San Jose. That is incredible ROI, return on investment. We take the guys in, Drouin, Lind, Glass, we make them into champions, and then we get to reap the benefits later on. Wow. Wow. I don't usually like trading up into the top 3, especially after we just won the Stanley Cup, but I think this situation is one that makes sense. We want to move Lind, they want Lind, they're open to moving the pick, they want his value plus his contract, everything's in line, we give them a couple prospects as well. I think this is a trade that made perfect sense. Maybe not the most conventional, the most orthodox, but we now have the 3rd overall pick, and I think we know exactly who we got to take here. Horak is interesting. Boileau also interesting, but these guys are wingers. I would love to get a good, solid, future top 6 centerman in our system, and that is Yuri Chubasov. 8 goals, 16 assists in 55 games in an A+ league in Russia. Our scouts have him at 3. Here we are at 3. Size and skill, 6'3", A+ shooting. Sean Couturier, NHL ready. Big rig mate. Okay, we'll see the zone abilities in a moment. Let's head up to the podium. Hello, good evening everyone, and a special hello to all of our fans watching back in the Shark Tank in San Jose. With the 3rd overall selection in the 2030 NHL entry draft, the San Jose Sharks are proud to select from Russia, Yuri Chubasov. Welcome to the team, Bello. You are 80 overall. That is exactly what I wanted. I don't want 84 where you're pushing for the team right now. I want 80 overall. We can treat him like Ranta. Give him another year overseas while we don't need him, and just keep him in the background, waiting to make his explosion onto the scene when it's his time. We'll see if he gets growth over the offseason, but that's exactly the type of overall that I wanted to see. Yuri Chubasov, 5-star shooting, 91s, 90s. Everything else, it's going to come with time. Everything else between 3 and 3.5 stars, no problem. That will come with time. We see close quarters, big tipper, no contest, unstoppable force, and relentless. How about that for some X factors? How about that for a trade here at the draft? Cole Lind, good luck over in Nashville. ROI, baby. Return on investment. How about that? Whoo! And we still have pick 32 even. The Kings, did they take Horak? Let's see. Yeah, so Horak would have been an 81 overall medium elite sniper. Same for the shooting accuracies and all that. Great piece, great prospect, great player, great attributes, nothing against him, just not what would have made the most sense for us. And the last guy, Boileau, going to the Senators, there he is, 82, wow, great pick for the Senators, 82 overall, 5th overall. Laurent Boileau, 5-star shooting as well, great piece right there. Again, it's just for us, it came down to organizationally what made the most sense, and we need that centerman long term. Okay, so I think that's about it. I don't think we need to make any trades, and that does free up some money in the short term. I think we're just free to go ahead and do our draft as we wanted to do it now. That's the one big thing we wanted to do. The rest of these guys, all medium top 6, medium top 4, blah, blah, blah. There is a low elite in the 20s, a Ukrainian low elite. Actually, I think I just missed him. Low elite in the 30s maybe? Yeah, there's Zhamnov. Low elite defensive defenseman. 3 years away. But I gotta say, if there's one person I'm really looking at, it's Markku Nattinen, who's 17 years of age and listed as NHL ready, similar to PK Subban. I would think a 17-year-old this late in the draft who's NHL ready is probably closer to 77, 76 overall rather than 80 overall, but still very interesting to see that NHL ETA on him. So I think we'll go ahead and trade down to 32. We'll sim down to 32, but then trade down again. Maybe just let's trade down to like 35 and try to recoup a 7th round pick that we gave up to the Predators. Let me see what I can do here. Maybe even the Predators want to trade again. This is like doing them a favor. It's like we added value to that trade. You can even think of this as being a part of the trade. You get pick 32, we get pick 34, and you know what? I don't think I'll ask for anything back, because if I ask for anything back, it would be the 7th that I just gave them. So I don't think I'm going to trade anything back. I'm just going to do this out of the goodness of my heart. Nothing but the goodness of my heart to say, let's add this to the conditions of that last trade. 32, swap for 34 as well, because they gave us a lot of value. There you go. On behalf of the Predators, I accept your trade. We'll see you out on the ice. But if anything else, it's cheering in the streets. But when you get a free move up in the draft, it's, okay, we'll see you out on the ice. Okay. Peckham goes there. Let's see who they took with that pick. Let's keep simming here. Sorry, just to quickly see. Yeah, medium top 6s, medium top 4D. Nothing really special. There's no difference between a medium top 6, 65 in the first and a medium top 6, 65 in the second. So I'm not going to waste a pick on that. All these guys are like exactly the same. Medium top 9s at the end here. Yikes. The Predators take a medium top 9. Eesh. Okay. And we will go ahead and select, with pick number 34, the defenseman that we wanted out of Finland. We probably could have traded a couple more picks, but I think this makes perfect sense. Markku Nattinen from Tampere in Liga, 6'2", 17 years of age, 34th overall. Welcome to the team, Bello. You are, let's see that overall, 76, exactly what I thought. 76 overall, offensive defenseman, medium top 6, 83 offensive awareness, 82 defensive awareness. Those, yeah, it'll grow with time. It will grow with time. He has descended superstar ability. Great pick, especially for 17 years of age. Amazing. 42 penalty minutes is a bit odd, but okay. Great pick for us. I love that selection. Zhamnov is also interesting as a low elite guarantee, but I don't think I'm going to waste trade value to trade up for a high 2nd round pick for this guy who's low elite when there's other guys who are low elite later on in the draft. So our next pick comes at, and we're skipping a lot of good players here, somewhere in the 70s, I guess. And we have to skip over some good guys. Low top 4 gem, Sundin, Robert Sundin, 4 years away. Yeah, that's a project. Low top 6 forwards. This guy's also a gem, Coleman. Aiden Coleman, 3 years away, gem, low top 4D. Anyone else out here? No, then it's starting to look at big trade-ups. Yeah, I don't want to make a trade-up here for these top 6 guys. They're interesting, but everyone's 3 years away. These guys are all like 60 overall type players. So I think we could probably sim to our pick, unless we really want one of those defensemen. Anyone around our pick who we could go for? A lot of medium top 9s. I don't want these guys. But there is a medium elite. But that'll be with our next pick. Yeah, that'll be with our next pick after that. Yeah, we have 2 picks coming up here. This guy's from France. Look at you. So maybe let's try it. So maybe we could try it, but I don't think we have to. I think what we're going to do, I think we're going to sim to our next pick, then trade that pick, and with our next one after that, then actually we pick at 42. What? We pick at 42? I guess I missed something there. I thought our next pick was in the 70s. Okay, my apologies. Weston, Zagrepan, Zhamnov goes 63 overall, low elite, top 6 forward, top 6 forward, top 4D. So do I want to use this pick at pick number 42 for a guy who's going to be a top 6 forward, 60-some overall, Timothy Hansen, nothing special, but just another guy in the system? Or do I package this second with my pick in the 70s for maybe a pick next year, and then with my pick after later on, I take the medium elite Christie? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I think that makes the most sense. Instead of just taking a random medium top 6 guy now, again, ROI. ROI. Who is the last pick? Let's try and trade with Florida. Let's try and trade with Florida for next season. A trade like this. Could I get your 2nd and your 3rd next year? You're a bad team. They're going to be good picks. But I give you picks right now. And you have a lot of value. You are a rebuilding team. You want picks today. You want both of these, 42 and 74. What do you say to this? Trade it into Sweden just a touch. I could do that. So a second and a third from a good team this year. Plus, I'll give you a seventh and a few. I don't even have any more, right? I've used them all. Okay, a sixth in 2031, and you give me a seventh in 2031 just to try and balance things out. You want to trade it as well. Great. Wait, what year am I looking at? I'm looking at the wrong year. What am I doing? I was looking at 2032. I don't want picks in 2032. I want picks next season. So I'll take, so then now it's Washington's third. So maybe I could do it without that. Okay. So I'll give you my second and third now, or Montreal's technically second and third now. For your second next year, which should be a high second round pick, somewhere in the early 30s hopefully, and you throw in Washington's third round pick. What do you say to this? Still isn't sufficient at all. So a third next season, you're thinking about it, but a third this season that you want to move, no, disgusting. All right, here's a sixth in 2031 to make it worth your while. There you go. Thank you very much. No one that I really loved right now, so Florida gets those picks, and we will defer our excitement to a second-round pick next season who could be great. And this is exactly who I thought it would have been. A random mid-60, medium top 6 forward who's fine. There's nothing wrong with him, but I'd rather try and get some great guy at the start of the second round next year. Okay, all the way to pick number 96 now. Let's make sure we're not missing on the medium elite. And yeah, we definitely would have missed out. I don't know why they give me these stars. That's not where I'm picking. Why are you giving me these stars in the 80s when I'm picking at 90, whatever? Christie's going at 88. Rohan Christie, he's 18 years of age. Medium 5 years away, going to be super low overall, a massive project, but medium league potential. So let's trade to the high 80s. So here's Vegas. Can I give you pick 96 and then a 6th in 2032 for pick 85 and a 7th in 2032? What do you say to this? Trade accepted. Beautiful. I think that's a fair deal. There you go. Let's go ahead and sim pick number 85. Don't want to risk missing out on the medium elite. Let's see. No, okay, no trade offer. Thank you very much. Pick number 85, Rohan Christie from, was it the WHL? Yes, from the Kelowna Rockets of the WHL. This guy's also interesting. Skylar Flynn, medium top 6. Tempting, as well as the low top 6 forward, who is also 18 here. 3 years away. Probably in the 60 overalls. That's tempting, but I gotta go with the medium elite. And we don't have enough value to keep trying to trade up for these picks. I'm already running low on 6th and 7th the next few years. So, Rohan Christie from the WHL. Welcome to the team below. You are 50 overall. Classic. Medium elite, though. So, we'll see what comes from this selection. You never know. Let's see who would have gone next here. Let's see. Pustinen was a 62 overall with low top 6. Let's go ahead and sim our pick number 128. Anyone before then that we want? Brunette was a medium top 4D. Where's that last guy? Flynn, there he is. He was a 52 overall. Yeah, definitely a project as well, but good to get that potential in the system. So next pick at 128. Anyone between now and then. Great to have everyone so fully uncovered. Incredible stuff. A lot of low top 9s, fringe starters. This guy's a gem, low top 6 gem. Lacerte, what do we got here? Vincent Lacerte, 19, 3 years away and a gem. But again, I'd have to trade a 6th or a 7th from 2 or 3 years away from now to make that happen, so I'd prefer not to. Medium top 6, Henderson. Anderson, not Henderson. Harvey Anderson, but 5 years away again. We don't have the value to make it happen. We could take Suglobov, though. Oleg Suglobov, 5 years away, but medium top 6. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and sim to our pick. Maybe even Anderson's there at 128. Let's see. 128, probably went just before, and there you go. But he was only 49 overall, not the end of the world. Pick 128 now. Yeah, we'll go down and take this guy Suglobov. I gotta try and recoup some picks here in the 6th and 7th round. Maybe I can trade down to pick like 132 or something. Let me see what I can do. 128 for 132 and a 7th. Detroit rejected. Come on. Other way around, you'd be spitting in my face if I even thought about offering you that. Not even in the right city, let alone ballpark. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Suglobov can go ahead and get selected because I don't think. Oh, hold on. Oh, but that's Glenn Watson, medium elite, but a goalie. We have a lot of those. And we have Leonardo Hobson, the Hungarian, low elite, 6'4", 207 pounds. And then Lamoureux, Gilbert Lamoureux, who is a medium elite. Oh wow, I missed. Good thing I scrolled down a little bit here. Frederick Sedin, medium top 6, 5 years away. Hobson, even Brodeur, Sedin, Brodeur. Look at these names. Simon Brodeur, medium top 4. Oh, boy. I think we gotta go for the low elite. Because our next pick, that's a 142 or so. Our next pick after this one would be in the round 5, pick 32. What is that? So 32 plus 128 plus 32 brings us to 160. Could I risk it at 160? Probably not, eh? I wouldn't want to risk it at 160 when there's a low elite guarantee there. This guy, Suglobov, medium top 6, is tempting. But at the same time, he could very well just be a 49 overall guy. 19 years of age, 5 years away. I'd rather take the low elite. So let's scroll down a little bit. As tempting as the goalies are, we already have, aside from our current goalies, we have another high elite and another medium elite already in our system. So I'll leave some goalies for the rest of the league. And Leonardo Hobson from Extra Liga, the Hungarian, 4 years away at 18 years of age. Let's do it, buddy. Defensive defenseman, welcome to the team at pick number 128. I'm curious to see what his overall is. Probably, I'm going to say mid to high 50s. Mid 50s, I'm going to lock in. 61! Woohoo! 61 overall, low elite at 128. Leonardo DiCaprio Hobson. Welcome to the team, buddy. Another Hobbsy in the organization. Woohoo! Okay, let's send him to pick number 160 now. Who went between now and then? I'm sure the medium elite goalies, medium starter 59, medium elite 58, blah, blah, medium elite, medium top 6, low overall guys, of course. But yeah, okay. Love it, love it, love it. Pick number 160 now. Do we try to trade down here to recoup some pick value? This guy's 2-bar medium elite, 1-bar medium top 4. Don't know enough. Oh, hold on. Medium elite, but a goalie again. Jonas Greening. I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world if I took one later on, but I gotta leave some for the rest of the league here. I can't take medium elite goalies every season, can I? Low elite centerman. Now this is tempting. Kip Leidecker. 17 years of age, 5 years away, but low elite potential. I could trade down to around 40 picks. I could trade down to the first pick. Let's try, so this is round 5. Let's try the first pick of round 7, and we'll just take a couple guys who have high potential and call it a draft from there. All right, New Jersey. I will give you a 5th and a 6th, picks 160 and 170, in exchange for picks 193 and 197. So a 5th and a 6th for 2 7ths, plus 7ths in the next 2 years as well, 2031 and 2032. So a 5th and a 6th for 4 7ths. Rejected. Could we do it just for 3 7ths? Too far off. You're gonna give me a 5th and 2 7th round picks for a 5th and a 6th. That's ridiculous. I will give you, I'll give you a 5th for 2 7ths, I suppose. Still rejected? Goodbye. Goodbye. That is crazy. A 5th for 2 7ths and you reject, and you want both. I'm taking timeouts until I find a trade that works. Nashville, you won't let me down, will you? A 5th and a 6th for the same deal. 4 7ths, but now picks 194 and 202. What do you say to this? Rejected. Let's try just for 3 7ths. Too far off. Okay. I'll try the 5th for 2 7ths, I suppose. 194 this year, and I'll take a 7th in the future as well. Ridiculous. A 5th. Pick 160. You have to trade up 34 picks, 34 selections, and all I ask is a 7th in return that you do want to trade, and you say no. I don't get this. I really don't. It's just the game being difficult when you have it on hard trade difficulty. It makes no sense. So I guess I'll just take my guys. Forget it. I'll just take my guys with my picks. If no one wants to trade me, I'm not going to trade a 5th for 1 7th. What's the point in doing that? So let's sort by overall. Who's available here? We see the guaranteed medium elite goalie. Yeah, we saw him. We do have the low elite here. So Leidecker. Any other low elites? Yeah, there are 3 guaranteed low elites. 2 that are 17, 1 that's 19. Yahir Fenton at 238, 5 years away, and Vladimir Korobov, who that's a goalie, sorry, low elite guaranteed. So I'll pass on the low elite, yeah. We'll pass on him. Low top 6s are always interesting. Johansson, Moros, these guys grow. These guys definitely have growth. But I'd rather go with the low elite. So we'll go ahead and take the first pick, being Leidecker. Kip Leidecker, 17 medium, low elite, excuse me. We'll take him. He is, let's see, 49 overall. Beautiful. Sniper. What do we got here? 1-star shooting. Love to see it. And then we'll sim to pick number 170. And then we'll take our next guy. Everyone wants to play games. No one wants to trade up 30 picks for free. Well, too bad. And I say for free, but it's at such a nominal price. Jonas Greening, so tempting. The Norwegian. Oh, man. So tempting. But we already have a high elite, a medium elite, and we can get these guys every draft. I gotta have some self-control here. Yahir Fenton from the Kitchener Rangers. Did we already take someone from Kitchener? OHL, 5 years away. Yep, but value. Let's see what happens. Yahir, buddy, low elite, 55 overall. Left wing playmaker. Yeah, pretty low attributes. We'll see what happens. Not hoping for anything crazy. And there is the draft, ladies and gentlemen. A pretty successful one. ROI, return on investment. Chubasov, 3rd overall. How about that for the revelation of the offseason? Natanen with great overall at 34. Christie medium elite at 85. Leonardo DiCaprio Hobson at 128. And then low elites Lidecker and Fenton at 160 and 170. I would call that a very successful draft. Let's see any coaches and or scouts that we got to extend here. Okay, a few scouts that we got to send contracts to, blah, blah, blah. And here we are at the re-sign phase. So I'll take care of the scouts, and then we'll finally get to see what do these guys actually want. Larkin, Hurdle, Hornquist for their extension asks. All right, the scouts are taken care of, and now we can head into day 1 of the re-sign phase. First things first is Dylan Larkin. He's up to a 90 overall, but he has top 6 potential, which is good. It's not like it's top 9 or anything, but it will likely bring his overall back down to 88 overall or so by the time next season starts. However, we're not just paying for the overall, we're paying for what he did. Led the team in postseason points, won the Hart Trophy, won the Ted Lindsay. The demand has come down, though, it looks like, especially for 1 year, 11.925. If he were to go to free agency, he's not looking for 4 or 5 years. That's the good thing. He does want 3 years. That's a very good thing. Plus, by the way, we have $31.97 million to play with. So let's keep that in mind. If we were to give Dylan Larkin 3 years at even 12.5 to make it worth his while or something like that, that would still leave us with a lot of money. Let's look at all expiring. Thomas Hurdle. Now, for all the reasons that I said before, okay, his demands even come down a bit more. 1 year at 6.65. So if we want 85% of that, if he, as the captain, wants to take a little discount, that's 5.675, I believe. So 1 year at 5.675, I think we can do that for Hurdle, even if he regresses to 82, 83 overall as a third line forward. As the captain, as a guy who went point per game plus last season, point per game in the postseason, I think it makes sense to bring him back. And for that dollar value, especially with Cole Lynn gone now, I think we can rationalize it much more than, okay, we just got to push him until retirement, So 1 year at 5.675, let's see what Thomas has to say about that. And the other big contract that we want to check out right away, what does Hornquist want? I'd be very curious to see this. Ooh! Now that is very interesting. His 8-year demand of $17 million is now 10.35 for 7 and up to 10.65 for 8 years. 85% of his 8-year demand brings it down to 9.0525, so 9.075 for 8 years. Now, if you've watched my franchise modes, you know I don't want to dedicate a lot of money to goaltenders. I hate just paying money for overall when the player doesn't deliver. But here's what I'm thinking on Hornquist. 8x9 is not the worst thing in the world for a high elite goalie who's 89 overall already at the age of 24. He's coming off of the Vezina Trophy. He's coming off of the Stanley Cup. If he can continue to perform, I'm okay with paying $9 million for my starter of the next 8+ years, as opposed to, yes, getting cheaper goalies, but I have to rotate it every season and keep experimenting to see who do we play with. If we can just lock down the guy we want, for $9 million, yeah, it's expensive, but as opposed to 12, 15, 17 million, I'd be okay with this. So I'm going to qualify him. I'm going to send it first, and if we have to, we'll qualify him. 8 by 9.075 for Torsten Hornquist. 7 years brings it down a little bit, but I wouldn't mind getting that extra year just to save the headaches of having to sign him on after again once more. So I'll offer him the contract. If he doesn't want it, I'm just going to try and qualify him and offer him the same thing on July 1st, but we'll go from here. So those are the first 2 deals. So if both Hornquist and Hurdle sign on for those contracts, we'd still have over $17 million to play with. If Larkin takes up 12, in theory, that leaves us with 5 to fill up some depth roles. I think we can definitely do that. I think it works. Now, Semenov, did his demand come down? It did not too much. Still 1 year at 2.95. I'd love to have him playing third line or something. As a fourth liner, we picked him up in free agency, 1 year in the AHL, came to the NHL, 14 goals and 32 points while just playing under 9 minutes of ice time per night. Incredible stuff. I think he would be a great top 9, maybe even future top 6 at this rate player, but definitely top 9. We just can't afford to pay that when it would only be for 1 year, for one thing. And two, we have guys with low elite potential like Haikila and Mikola who need those spots. So that being said, I think Semenov will have to say goodbye to you. I'll wait just in case, but we'll have to say goodbye to Semenov most likely. Tyler Madden, you want to come back as fourth line center? He wants to get paid. He did earn it though. He did earn it. If we could bring it down to 1.325, 85%, that would be great. So Tyler Madden, I'll see what you say about that. Caleb Jones, he was just a waiver pickup in case we needed him. He's an 80 overall now. I'm not paying him 2.8 to be a third pair guy. We can get other third pair guys later on through growth or later on in free agency. So Caleb Jones will be released. Back up at the top here, Luke Cunnin. Can he stay on as the fourth line, bottom six guy? That would be great for 1.3. I can even do 2 years. I can do 2 years on Luke Cunnin. He's been with us for the entire ride so far. 2 years at 1.15 if he wants it. Let's see if he's interested, or if he'll say, no, I didn't get enough ice time last year, blah, blah, blah. Haikila can also get his entry-level contract, of course. He'll be trying to crack the bottom six next season. Nico Haikila, a former, wait for it, 7th round pick. He now has 5-star puck skills as a two-way forward. So I can't wait to see what he does. And before we advance today, I also want to send out a deal to Larkin just to see what he's thinking. Oh, man, I'm sure he'd want to stay. And if he goes to free agency, this is the type of deal that he would get. He wants 3 by 12.275. Teams would give him that. So I don't think we necessarily have to overpay. We're not fighting against other teams at this time. I think he'd be very happy to stay. So I won't go up to 12.5, but I'm also not going to 85% it and bring it down to 10 point something million. 3 years at 12.25. Now, going into a third year is tough because then we have the Bedard extension and stuff like that. It makes it a tough contract, and he'll be regressing for sure at the age of 36. But we're really paying for the next 2 seasons. That third season is just to get him to stay on with us and not go to free agency and sign with somebody else. For sure, he would want, at the bare minimum, a 3-year deal. I'm surprised he wants 3 and not 4 or 5. So 3 years at 12.25, especially with Lind now gone. Let's see what happens. Maybe this was meant to be. Let's advance a day with those first contracts sent out before I start. An easy decision! Dylan Larkin was just foaming at the mouth to sign that contract. I've always wanted to play with a top-ranked team, so it was an easy decision to stick with the organization. Perfect sense story-wise. 100% sense in terms of storyline. Thank you very much, Dylan Larkin. 3 more years, getting paid big time. Hopefully, he can continue to be the second half of the dynamic duo between himself and Connor Bedard. Incredible. Tomas Hertl wants more for a 1-year deal. Cunnin wants free agency. Madden doesn't like his minutes. He was a 4th liner. Haikila's on board. Hornquist. So pretty much everyone rejected aside from Larkin. So at least that's something. But let me take care of the other lower players. Some of the unsigned prospects. Like, I know there's Reese in here. Yeah, 75 overall Reese. We're going to have Watkins, medium elite. So I'll send out a few deals, Dimitrakos, and then we'll get back to the bigger guys. We're also going to go ahead and send out an offer to Philip Lindbergh, our third string goalie extraordinaire. Could we get him, I wouldn't mind 2 years. Because, maybe even 3. Just give him some stability in there. It's a one-way deal. Let's go 2 years. 2 years, $850K for Lindbergh to be full-time third goalie for us. He's been such an incredible guy, reliable backup when called upon. Let's do it. Spot starts when needed as well. Philip Lindbergh, 2 years at 0.850. Everyone else who's an RFA, other than Hornquist, is just getting qualified because they all want 1.2 million for some unknown reason. Every single one of them wants 1.2 million for being unsigned, not even unsigned, just for being AHL players. Makes no sense. So let me advance the day here. Scout signing back on. Good. Let's see here. Madden still doesn't like 1.425 for 1 year. Lindbergh, easy decision, of course. Franchise pillar. Dimitrakos, Williams, Lind, the other Lind, Watkins, now without his brother. Reese, all on board. Very good. Back to the top now. Tomas Hertl, buddy. Come on now. 1-year contract. I think this is very fair. Maybe we have some money to spare this season so we can go a bit higher. 5.850 for 1 year. Couple $100K more than I should have to give you. 5.85 for 1 year. Let's see what he says. Luke Cunnin, come on, buddy. I'll give you 2 years. You should be happy with that. And I'll give you 1.250 for 2 years. Come on now. Even I haven't even thought about the defense here. Knyazev, he wants 3.2 for 1 year. Meanwhile, Pickering would want 3.1 for 1 year, 3.2, 3.3. Both Knyazev and Pickering, such great pieces for us. But I can't think about it just yet. Tyler Madden, you want to be a stick in the mud? Fine. 1 year, 1.5, whatever. Semenov, just got to release him now. Can't afford you, buddy. Zellweger and Peterson, I'm thinking about them for depth. Drapeau, let me guess, you want 1.2 million? No, you want 2 years at 0.8, even RFA? Nathan Drapeau, why not? 1 year, 850K for you. Everyone else is a qualified RFA. Roloff, I'm going to release you. And then back to the goaltending. Last thing we got to look on here. Hornquist. I'll try to offer you another deal, but if you want to be picky, you want to wait, you want to throw a fit, no problem. I'm going to wait until July 1st and your brain resets here in EA land. My final offer, I'll go to 9.250 for 8 years. Final offer, 8 by 9.25 before I just wait until July 1st. Let's advance a day now, waiting on those big guys especially. A couple more scouts sign on. Hurdle still doesn't want it. Adjust the financials accordingly. Come on, man. Cunnin wants free agency. Madden wants free agency. Drapeau and Hornquist. Okay, wow. Wow. Talk about picky. So back to the drawing board here. Tomas Hurdle, buddy. Come on now. 1 year. I guess I gotta go crazy on you for 1 year. I gotta go crazy. 1 year, 6.35. There you go. Come on now. Luke Cunnin, you too, man. Come on. What is this? You want 1 year, 1.3? Fine. 1 year, 1.3. You don't want a little bit less for a little more stability? Fine. Now, for defense, Kniazev versus Pickering. Looking at the main roster and looking at defense, next year the top 4 is still locked with Hughes, Kalinin, Rodin, and Kiviharu. But if Ricky Brain were to come into the lineup, and I don't know what's up with Damian Lease, who's a 77 overall, we could still keep one of Kniazev or Pickering. Technically, we could keep both, but it wouldn't make sense to sign both long-term at $3+ million for where they're playing. So part of it is we have to accept that defensemen will cost more over time here in franchise mode. Third pair D costs $7 million by time we're 10 years into the future from now. So we have to accept that we will end up paying more. So to pay $3 million for a third pair guy, it hurts a little bit, but it's also kind of realistic in terms of franchise mode. Now, if it comes down to Kniazev or Pickering, both these guys have been on our team pretty much since the beginning. Kniazev we inherited, Pickering we traded for from the Penguins. We've had them both for, I believe, 300+ games each that they've played. They both have a couple Stanley Cup rings. Pickering has played 352 games as a Shark, and Kniazev has played in, let's see, 383 games as a Shark. So both of these guys have their pluses and minuses, their positives, their negatives, but Kniazev, I was looking at the underlying numbers, less giveaways, more takeaways, he has 95 shot blocking, 93 stick checking, while Pickering, he's younger. Ooh, go back to Pickering. While Pickering, yes, he's younger, he gives away the puck a lot more though, and his overall is a bit boosted by his puck skills, which don't even really come into play that much. Because yes, he just scored 9 points in 29 games, but usually he's good for about 15 points, which is good, but you would think 4-star puck skills, maybe he's doing more with his 88 passing. So all that being said, Pickering could likely thrive in a top 4 role on another team, as opposed to having to be third pair, rotating in and out with us. I've really enjoyed having him. He's honestly one of my top 10 achievements of the season in terms of, I saw a guy, I said, let's go ahead and get him, and he turned out to be a full-time roster player for multiple seasons on end. So Owen Pickering, I think I'm going to just try qualifying and then trading him, while Kniazev, and this could change if Kniazev doesn't want to sign, Kniazev will be the guy that I go to first. I'm going to try doing 2 years on Kniazev. Actually, 3 years is only 25K more. So you know what, let's do 3 years. That's the term that he wants, but let's try 2.825, which is 85%. 2.825 for 3 years on Kniazev. Let's see what he says to that. All expiring, everyone else got a deal sent out to them. Everyone's good to go. Yes, okay. Madden, no. Madden needs a deal. Madden, come on, buddy. You want to play hardball like this? You're a 4th-line centerman. I love you. You're great. But why are you playing hardball with me? Can I go 2 years? I'll give you the term, but I go down to 1.450. And then goaltending for Hornquist, I'm just going to wait on him. I'm not going to be playing games. Foy wants 1.2 million, not playing games. I have more work to do on July 1st than I do during the re-sign phase. So we'll advance a day again. Easy decision from Tomas Hurdle, finally. Thank you, mon capitaine. Luke Cunnin rejects. Madden rejects. Kniazev rejects. Zellweger does not want a 2-way deal, even though I paid him more. He wants 1-way 800K. I offered him 2-way 950K. He said no. Okay, great. I will find a different defenseman to be 79 overall down in the AHL system. Good luck finding a contract. Release. All right. So now that just leaves us, again, Kunin, Kniazev, Madden, and the RFAs, the big guy being Pickering there for the players. So maybe Kniazev doesn't end up signing. I will do my best to get him. He didn't want 3 by 2.8.5. I will try 3 by 3. But I don't think I can go much higher than that, buddy. 3 by 3 for Kniazev. I love your shot blocking. I love everything you bring to the table. But that's my final offer. 3 by 3 for Kniazev. Luke Kunin, exactly what I'm offering. He wants to test free agency. Come on, I know he's asking for a little less than 82 overalls you usually do, but if I have to get in-house replacement or something in free agency, I will. 1 year at $1.4 million is my final offer on Kunin, and Tyler Madden, only because of what he did in Philadelphia, he will get one final offer at what he's asking, 1.6 for 2 years as a 79 overall. After that, we're done. So advance today, let's see. Luke Kunin, easy decision. All right, he's back. Again, he's always trying to push our buttons to the final day. Tyler Madden is gone. Thank you for again, a great pickup that I'm very proud of. We got him for a 7th round pick, and he turned out to be our full-time 4th-line centerman who scored 20-plus points. Love it. Love the pickups this franchise mode series. And Kniazev signs back on the final offer. All right. So we have $11 million left to play with. Tyler Madden will go to free agency, unfortunately. We'll likely move on from Pickering now that Kniazev has signed. And that leaves us with, we'll hopefully dedicate about $9 million to Hornquist, and we'll have $2 million left over. So that's it. Everybody signed on. No UFAs left over aside from Madden, who we are releasing. I really hate to do it, but I'm not going to pay more than 1.6 for multiple years on my 4th-line centerman. RFAs are all qualified. Unsigned players. Chubasov, we're going to give him another year in Russia unless we have crazy growth. We'll see what happens over the offseason. And that's it. Let's advance to July 1st. So here we are ready to go on July 1st. There are no new scouts to hire, so we can go straight into free agency. The first thing we do, as always, now that it's July 1st, we can check out the extensions that our players would potentially want headed into this next season, which would be the final year of their current deal. So guys like Ranta, for example, who's finishing up his ELC, yeah, okay. 5 by 17.5. Let me guess. 8 years, he wants 19 million. 21.015 million for 8 years. Yeah, so that you don't got to be worried about at all. That's a demand that comes down very quickly. That is ridiculous. But the most important thing to remember is we will have 17.92 million in extension dollars headed into not the 2030-31 season, but 2031-32. Kivi Haru, let me guess, he also wants 6.7. It's a bit much. Ricky Brain, what would he be wanting? Yeah, 5 million as a guy who played like 60 games last year in his rookie season. Habsheed, what would he be looking at? 5 million. Yeah, all these demands will be coming down. But Hornquist, I'm curious about his demand right now. Oh, and whoa! 7 years, 8.95. This changes things. Ooh, boy. And again, I don't like cheesing contracts usually. I want to give my young players who perform well the money that they deserve. But when it comes to goalies, I am open to cheesing it as much as possible. Obviously not giving him 8 years for $2 million per year, but 85% of 8.95 for 8 years would be 7.625. In free agency, you don't want to do this approach because a team will offer him less years for more money. But since we have his RFA rights, we could definitely do this. 7.625 for 8 years is 85%. Let's send it out first and see what happens, and we'll figure it out from here. But good to see his demand for 8 years is incredibly different, even for anything else. 6 years, even at 8.7. It's only for 7 years he wants 10.4. So okay, qualifying and waiting on Hornquist seem to work out, at least for the moment. We'll see what kind of deal he wants. Let me guess, the rest of the RFAs. What kind of money do these RFAs want right now? Pickering would want, okay, he'd do 3.3 for 1 or 2 years. These guys who all wanted 1.2 million, yeah, then it comes back down to earth. 0.9 for 8 years, but 1 year, 1.2 for, let me guess, it's the same for all of them, right? Yeah, classic EA. So I'll take care of these guys off screen later on. First, let's dive into the free agent market here on July 1st. We don't have much to do. If anything, it would be the 4th-line center now. Tyler Madden's gone. Nothing crazy. Owen Power's out here. Let me just look at sorting by UFAs and sorting by overall. So we see Nick Suzuki, the biggest fish right now. Owen Power, Trevor Zegras, Braden Point, Cousins, Newhook, Howard, Kako, Hoglander, Pollock. Let's go and sort by forwards now, because defense, if anything would be maybe a third pair guy, but I think we're good with Kniazev and Brain. At the top 6 this next season is some sort of mix of Bedard, Lucius, Eklund, Carcillo, Larkin. That's 5. That leaves a 6th spot open to a guy like Hurdle potentially staying there, or Mikola growing into it, or we look to sign someone who would want a 1-year deal maybe. Braden Point wants 2 years. Victor Olofsson wants 1 year. This would be interesting, an interesting opportunity here. We have some money to play with in this next season. But hold on, we gotta wait on Hornquist though, eh? Let's keep Hornquist in mind, because if he signs for 7.625, that leaves us with 3.47 million. Yeah, so I'd probably rather keep Hurdle or Mikola or a trade deadline piece in that top 6 as opposed to going out to sign someone now, because for 3 point whatever million, we quickly go down here. We're looking at an 82 overall type player instead. So first things first, I think it would be good if we can lock down a 4th line centerman. Maybe it is Tyler Madden. Let's go back to 79 overall. Even though he's a lower overall than some of these other guys, he is someone who has shown himself to be reliable in the simulation. So Madden wants 1.675 for 1 year. No chance anybody's going to be signing him. We could get somebody who's better for cheaper, but then there's the unknown factor, right? Are they going to be as good? You could get this guy, Yannick, who's 1 year at 0.825 at 80 overall, Jan Yannick. But would he be as good as Madden? He's shown himself to simulate well. So let's go ahead and offer him a contract now in free agency. Classic free agency. Clock strikes 12 on July 1st, and now he forgets all about the negotiations that we had. Let's do 1 year at 1.5 for Madden. Let's see if we can get him on board for that. And aside from that, I wouldn't really want to make any moves right now, because who knows what's going to happen with growth over the offseason. It's tough. If we sort by potential, any young players with potential, this guy, Voutilainen, Hannu Voutilainen, he was a former 16th overall pick, medium top 6 potential. Guys like that, guys who are 24, even Medvinov, this guy low top 6. Yeah, I'll take some time to sign some players for the AHL. On top of that, if we look at the goalies who are available just for kicks, just the UFAs as well, again, sorting by overall, Wallstedt, Kosa, Merzlikins. Yeah, just interested in looking at the class out there. But nothing really to think about too much in free agency. Yes, it would be great to go after a big name. Maybe we still do, but let's first figure out Torsten Hornquist. So I'll go ahead and send out a few contracts to some of our young RFA guys who we qualified, as well as some of the young guys in free agency with potential. We'll advance a few days, we'll see what happens with Hornquist, and then go from there. Now, on top of a 4th line centerman, I've been looking deep into the lineup, and I forgot that with Semenov leaving, you could also use another 4th line winger. There are a lot of interesting options out there. I'm trying to find one that would be interested in a 1-year deal. There's a lot that are interesting at 2 years, and they want $3 million. They had a strong year last year, a lot of centermen. But one guy that really speaks to me, despite a bit of a higher price tag, is Pierre Engvall. He's 34 years of age, which is on the older side of franchise mode, but he still has the top 6 potential. He's an 81 overall, and he scored 19 goals and 32 points last season with Minnesota while only playing 10.5 minutes of ice time per night. Now, yes, 8 of those were power play points. That's still some solid even strength stuff. He was a +9. He has decent all-around stats. Nothing incredible. You know, it's nice to see 3 stars at least for everything. He would be a 4th liner. It's nothing incredible, but I like his skating. I like his physical. I like his sim ability, it looks like. He's 6'5", big player, maintains the size in our bottom 6. So it's a bit more expensive than I would like. I'm going to wait and see on Hornquist and how much money is left over, and if Engvall's demand comes down a little bit. Worst case, we go in another direction. There are some other options available for us. But let's advance a few days. I sent out some contract offers to other young players, so we'll wait on them and see their answers as well. Extremely happy there's Medvinov, who signs on. There's the first guy on July 4th. July 5th, we see Alex Vlasic, related to Mark-Edward Vlasic. He'll be an AHL defenseman for us, getting him in the system. Real-life Chicago Blackhawks prospect, who's now in our organization. Tyler Madden doesn't like the dollars offered to him. Bye-bye. Jesus Foy accepts. Jaden James, Calvin Gratton, Port, Benda, Carlson, Lume. Okay, wonderful. Still waiting on Hornquist, though. He's the big one. Rejected. Understandably. And not going to do that with the Avalanche. No thank you. And here we are. Okay, so back to free agency now. We have probably the same amount of money, just about $11.245 million to play with. Some players are getting signed. I want to wait too long on this 4th line centerman and 4th line winger. So, like, did Tyler Madden even sign? There's no way anyone's offering him that kind of money with the other players that are available. Madden, there you are, Tyler Madden. He still wants 1.675 for 1 year. I'm going to keep offering it until his AI brain accepts it, or we go in another direction. 1 year at 1.525. 1 year. There you go. And on the wingers, is Engvall still out here? Let's see if we scroll on to the 81 overalls. Engvall, yeah, he's still out there. Now his demand's at 1.7 million. Woo-hoo-hoo, that's why you wait. Pierre Engvall, 1 year, we definitely have money for that. So I think 1.7 is fair, especially considering that his demand came down from $1 million plus. So let's go 1 year, 1.7. Even if he regresses, if he's not great, whatever. There's always other fourth line left wing options out there in the world. Probably the most replaceable position in all of franchise mode. So also, yes, and an offer to Hornquist. What are his demands looking like for 8 years right now? 8.950, that's still the same, right? But his 7-year demand has also come down. So maybe let's try a little bit above 85%. Let's go 8 by 7.75 maybe. 8 by 7.750. Let's see what he says to this. Worst case, we can maybe wait 1 or 2 more, but then we'd have to just offer him what he's looking for, or before his demand goes back to the 17 million plus near the end of July. That's when that would happen. No thank you, St. Louis. Let's just wait on these 2 deals, or 2 fourth lines plus Hornquist before we have to make any other decisions. Advances should be the day right here. Pierre Engvall, extremely happy to accept the offer. Beautiful. Tyler Madden, I think I can add a lot to a team that's destined for a good run in the playoffs. Great. I put behind everything that happened. It wasn't you. It was your agent. I understand. Tyler Madden, welcome back to the Data family. And we're just going to wait on Hornquist now. That would be a big piece. Still rejected. So we probably can offer only 1 or 2 more. Before we probably just got to give him what he's asking for. So his ask for 8 years is now down to 8.875. If I offer him 8.150, that would be about 92% of what he's asking for. I think this is pretty fair. We gotta make concessions on both sides here, buddy. I know we're coming down to just a few $100,000 between both sides, but on a Stanley Cup caliber team, every cent counts. 1 more day here, still rejected. Alrighty. His 8-year ask is now 8.825. Alright, you're coming down like 50,000 at a time, and I'm going up hundreds of thousands at a time. Let's go 8.35 for 8 years. 8 by 8.35. 1 more day. Finally, I believe this signing will be good for myself and the franchise. Ho hum, my life is miserable. I won the Vezina Trophy and a Stanley Cup, and I'm the starter on one of the best teams in NHL history, and I had to sign for $8.35 million. 95% of what I was asking for. Alright, thank you, Torsten. Welcome back, at least for the next season. Who knows if you'll keep your spot. You got to keep performing well, or else Habsheed on an ELC is going to take your spot. So I think that's about it. We will still have, headed into next season, $2.295 million to play with. So I've looked at players who are affordable and sorting by overall and just UFAs. You guys are all UFAs? Yes, all UFAs. There could be depth players like Beauvillier, Ratcliffe, Hartman, even Kuzmenko, Lehkonen, Forster, Saad. There are definitely some options down here if it were to be necessary. But I like the team that we have. Let's let it grow over the offseason. Enjoy your days with the Cup, everybody. Eat well, train hard, get some good growth in. I'm very excited to see what this team will look like in September of 2030-31. The very last thing to do will be to set the draft class headed into next season. And honestly, I think we're at a point now in the franchise mode where I'm just going to set it as medium-medium. We had a few years of it being medium-low or low-high, high-low. There's always been a low in there. Now with next season and the year after, these are kind of like the final years of our years as general manager before we move into president of hockey ops and we sim for another 10-15 years. I think just setting it medium-medium for the rest of the franchise mode starting now is a good, jump off point. If you have any concerns with that, you want it to go back to low high, play with it around, I would be open to that. But I think medium as of this point, where the picks that we draft won't have an immediate impact on our team. Those gems in the 6th round, we won't see them when we're still GM. We'll see them in 5-6 years from now when we're doing the long-term sim. So I think for that reason, medium classes from here on out will be the move. With all that being said, let's sim through the off-season and see how we look to start 2030-31. And my apologies to interject again, just to mention that no, we have not decided what we're going to do with Owen Pickering just yet. Whether we sign him or trade him or sign and trade him, that will be at the beginning of next episode after I hear your suggestions. Once we see the team, who grew, who didn't grow, what needs do we have, etc. But never mind, I guess the game just extended him by himself since he was qualified. A 1-year deal, I guess, whatever he was making, was it $2.3 million? So he's signed, but like I said, we still have to decide next episode whether it will be that sign and he plays for us or sign and trade. Nothing has changed. All right, so here we are at the beginning of 2030-31, our Stanley Cup defense. Now, odd overalls over the offseason. Now, first line, Eklund, Bedard, and Lucius, but for some reason, Lucius, he went to an 86 after winning the Stanley Cup, and he's still at an 86. I have no clue how or why. He's been around point per game plus for the last 4 seasons. He's had 30 plus goals 3 years in a row. He had 41 goals 3 years ago, 45 goals and 116 points 2 years ago, 31 goals and 81 points last season, but for some reason he drops from an 89, I think was his highest, now to an 86 overall. So I'm not worried about that. The point production should still be there, but I find that extremely odd. So Bedard, Eklund, still in that first line. Eklund, like we said at the beginning of the episode, last couple seasons haven't been great, but he does have the track record to back it up. He is a 60-plus assist guy when he's on his best game, so hopefully he can rekindle that. The second line may very well stay the same, as Ranta, Larkin, and Hurdle are all still the same overalls that they were last season. Technically Larkin up 88 to 89, down from 90, but up from 88, and Hurdle down from 86 to 85, but all still serviceable top 6 players, especially Hurdle, who I thought would regress. Third line, Carcillo, who I wanted in the top 6, is here on the third line with Glass and Mikkola as an 82. And then fourth line, you have Cunnin, right wing, 81. Madden at fourth line center. And Haikila, Nico Haikila, the 7th round pick, who now is an 82 overall. I'd prefer to have him on the third line, but I also don't mind having him have to do his time and work his way into the top 9. Two-way forward, 5-star puck skills, 4-star defense. Very excited to see what this guy does, Nico Haikila. On defense, not much has changed. Hughes and Kleenan, 91 and 88 with a +5 on the top pair. Rodin and Kiviharju are still 84, 82. And the third pair at the moment, Ricky Brain growing from an 80 to an 81 with Kniazev at an 81. Goaltending, Hornquist grew to a 90 overall, and Habshe now up to an 85 overall at 22 years of age, the final year of his contract. So that's going to be a dicey situation here between the pipes. Scratches, we would have Engvall as 13th forward and Pickering as 7th D at the moment, but we know that a trade is likely coming. I don't know what we want to do exactly. Pickering, I think he could be a top 4 D-man. I think he could be great on another team. Down in the AHL, Graton 77, Reese 77, Carlson. Not a lot of high overalls here. Might want to sign more players. Defense, Lees ended up staying as a 78. So he grew from a 77, but still at a 78. Not quite at the NHL just yet. I'm not sure who our 7th D would be. If we traded Pickering, we'd have to get somebody else in here. And goaltending, of course, Lindbergh, our 3rd goalie in the NHL. Jesus Foy still at a 76, backed up by Miele, who is a 66. So there's the roster at the moment. Not as much growth as I thought. I would have thought that Carcillo would be like an 86, and Hurdle would be an 83, and Lucius would be back to 88, Larkin at 90, Mikkola didn't budge, Rodin and Kiviharju didn't budge. So that is a bit concerning, but at the same time, this is essentially the same team that won the Stanley Cup last year. Not to mention 63 games, an NHL record. So I'll pause here for the moment. Here is the lineup, how we're looking at it right now. Let me know if you want to add or remove any X factors from anybody. Up to 3 X factors added or removed from up to 3 players. I know some have suggested in the past that Hornquist should get some, but it's just that many goalies around the NHL don't have. So if I add them to Hornquist, I have to add them to everybody else who's an elite starter. It would be a bit of a process. So let me know your thoughts on that. The last thing we can do is check out a few other things like contract extensions and trade blocks. So let's just quickly take care of that. How would these extensions look like now? Plus, we only have $1 million in cap space at the moment, all expiring, and Tomas Hertl down to exact bottom 6, so he will likely regress over the course of the season, depending on what happens performance-wise. Ranta, okay, there we go. That's more reason. Oh, no, actually, because we have our max that we can play with. We have $11 million in extension dollars. That's it, 10.995 in extension dollars. That is what we have right now. With Ranta, Hurdle, Kiviharju, Mikkola, Brain, the biggest guys who would need contracts. So definitely moves will have to be made by this time next year. When we look at guys who have term, who are signed on, I would think that William Eklund is a potential guy to move if he doesn't perform. Mats Rodin is definitely a guy who's on the chopping block if he doesn't perform. Cody Glass, I would say he's a major guy on the chopping block as well because we have our new 3rd overall prospect who could slot into third-line center by next year. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think we can deal with a lot of this. It's tight at the moment, but right there, Rodin and Glass gone, there's over 10 million freed up. I think we can go ahead. I think we'll be fine. But definitely changes are coming, and the core that has won 2 Stanley Cups will be continuing to change. Looking at our unsigned players here, just looking at Chubasov is still at an 80 overall, Natanen's still at a 76, Zednik's up to a 75. I think I'm going to sign him and put him in the AHL on the first line. Miroslav Zednik, 5th round pick, woo, and the 88 shooting accuracies, wow. So I think we're going to put him in the AHL for this next season. I'm not sure if anybody else will make the jump, but I think Zednik definitely could. Chubasov, I think that makes sense storyline-wise, staying in Russia for another year. Maybe that's why some teams didn't want him. Maybe that's why Nashville is also open to trading that pick. Speaking of Nashville, let's see what kind of deal Cole Lind was signed to. Oh, there he is at the top right here. So he has a 1, 2, 3-year extension, paying him $7.85 million per season. We definitely would not have been able to afford that. So I'm very curious to see how Cole Lind does in his time in Nashville. Wishing him all the best over there. And last but not least, we got to check out the trade blocks around the NHL. Before I set the scouting and all that, we get into the preseason. The trade values that we have on our team. We see Bedard, Hughes, of course. Who are some guys that we were mentioned trading? A guy like Eklund, who we mentioned trading, has a lot of value. Other guys with potential, Valine, Watkins, Rodin has value. Brain has a lot of value for a guy that we're not sold on as well. Kivi Haru, Lees. Yeah, this team has value. We could definitely get some good pieces back if need be. Keep in mind that our current draft situation would be 1 first, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, a 4th, and a 5th in the 2031 draft. But now taking a quick look at the trade blocks around the NHL. Let me know if anyone catches your eye. We can look more into them if I don't go deeply enough here. Leave me a comment here on YouTube or over on the Discord server. Drysdale and Wallinder on the block in Anaheim. Arizona prospects. Of course, I can't look at every prospect, so if anybody catches your eye, just let me know. Boston, we see Dvorak, Schmaltz, Milano, Yafalo, Kubalik, Riley, down the list there. But most of those are expiring deals as well. Buffalo has Stanley, Lindstrom, and Ostland. Calgary, Merkley, Anderson, Verhevery, Yokiharu, down the list. Jost and Duchesne on the block in Carolina. Chicago, nobody. Colorado, prospects. Columbus, Lundell, 87 overall. Big contract, though. Pulick, Forsberg, Kuznetsov, Lizotte, Kapanen, and some other pieces. Dallas, Cole Perfetti on an expiring deal. Mangiapane, Studnicka, Roslovic, Scheifele, and a few other guys. Detroit, we see prospects, including this guy who we traded him to Detroit. Yeah, he's grown. He could definitely be a piece. He's up to a 70 overall, not stuck in the 50s anymore. Yeah, I'd be curious to see if he cracks the league. Edmonton, Gregor, Broberg, LeBlanc, and Peterka. Florida, prospects, including this guy, Mackey. A bit old for my liking for that overall. Prospects in LA. Minnesota, Rossi, Addison, Verana, Drury, Suter, Bordelot, Pitlick, and other pieces. Interesting here in Minnesota. Les Canadiens, Montreal, Mikhaev, Kostin, Anderson Dolan, Colton, Trocheck, Sundqvist, excuse me. Grabeshkov, Bayer, those a couple prospects, and other pieces in Nashville. New Jersey, just one guy, Bouillon, Anderson, Rasmus Anderson, DeBrusk, Saad, Nichushkin, Pelletier, and other pieces on the Islanders. Rangers, prospects, Senators, Sharangovich, Krebs, Batherson, Strome, McCann, and other pieces. Flyers, Miller, Norris, Konechny, Kucherov, Sanheim. Oof, a lot of expiring players too. These guys would be interesting at the trade deadline, especially keep in mind this next episode, just like last regular season, I'll try to get the whole season into one episode, so keep in mind your trade deadline ideas as well. Prospects over in Pittsburgh, Seattle, Mishak, Marchment, Heineman, and some prospects. St. Louis, Alex Tuck and company. Tampa Bay Lightning, prospects. Maple Leafs, McMichael, Korczak, Yannick, and company. Prospects in Vancouver, Vegas, Brassois, all prospects. Washington prospects, Winnipeg. Ooh, this guy, Persinger, 90 overall RFA, 3rd overall pick in 2026, a grinder. 90 overall grinder with 5-star defense, 99 defensive awareness, 99 stick checking, 94 shot blocking, 99 aggressiveness, 99 body checking, 99 strength, 95 offensive awareness. That's crazy. Jackson Persinger, he had 53 points and 77 pony minutes last season. Boy, he would be a great piece to have, but that would just be a bit too crazy probably, money-wise and all that. Morrissey also on the block, Clay, Gruzika. Wow, how about that for some big pieces on the trade blocks? So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, another offseason in the books. Some huge ROI, return on investment, in Cole Lind going off to the Nashville Predators. And we get to draft Yuri Chubasov, reminiscent of Chubasov from the, was it the Saskatchewan Stag series from X-Tech? Shout out to that series. Here's our lineup at the moment. Keep in mind the X factors, the different line combinations, the trade blocks, guys we may need to move by next season. Take all of this into your consideration when you add any and all of your thoughts down here on YouTube or over on the Discord server, link in the description. As always, we'd love to see you there. And speaking of loving to have you, if you haven't already subscribed, please be sure to do so, as you'll be made aware of all of our franchise mode, career simulation uploads, our live streams, especially on MLB The Show 23 franchise mode. And of course, leave a like if you enjoyed this off season and are excited for the 2030-31 season, as we will look to win a 5th consecutive President's Trophy and defend the Stanley Cup. So thank you very much for taking the time to enjoy this episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again in the next one.